And it's not just him. There's other people. There's John Marriott. There's Jesse Mott. There's Danny Leventhal. Like I was like, I know someone went here. And then Richards, James Richards. So good work with lots of good people. Come back. Then next week, we start our sort of lecture marathon again with Molly Zuckerman-Hartun here Tuesday the 9th. Note the different time, 9 p.m. or 6 p.m. instead of 5. 9th, 6 p.m. instead of 5 to give her time to get here. Then Thursday, we will have the filmmaker Colleen Smith, who's in from the West Coast, to give a talk. On Tuesday the 16th, we'll have Nicholas Frank down from Milwaukee, artist, curator, writer, fine fellow, giving a talk. And then on Thursday, November 18th, we will have Steve Ranke explaining himself and taking us through whatever it is he does at that moment. So tonight, it's a pleasure to have John Marriott, who's in from Toronto, who has 2 videos and a sculpture in the exhibition. And he'll be, I guess, telling, are you going to be asking us if Duchamp makes us sad? Or explaining why he makes us sad?
We'll see.
Okay, all right.
Well, thanks for coming. Just a few words before we get on with the stuff. I'm grateful to Gallery 400 and University of Illinois at Chicago for hosting me. This is a really nice opportunity, and I appreciate you guys coming. I'm also indebted to Kelly Kaczynski and her aesthetic enterprise, Unnamed Future Space. Kelly has graciously made her abilities and resources that exist between her personal life and her professional life available. So with that, I've been able to make a vomit star, which you'll see in the show. So I gotta practice my breathing here. And lastly, I want to thank Steve Ranke. It's always great when you find an artist whose work challenges you and inspires you. And it's even better when that person becomes your friend and a collaborator and someone who can provide you with honest feedback on your work. So thanks, Steve. Okay, so I'm going to give you a bit of a rollicking romp through my work from, I guess, what's this, 94? And the reason for that is that I move back and forth between a number of different things. You might say that it's hard to trace a signature style, but I think that a signature sensibility will come through over a period of time, sort of like looking in a fractured mirror. So you'll see stuff that moves from sculpture to video to installation, multiples. Some things that are meant to be in institutions and galleries, other stuff that's definitely made to get around having to deal with them. So with that, I'll start. We're going to go from PowerPoint to video and back and forth. So this is a suit that was made to my size with a custom fabric. And if you can't see the detail, it's the word slut. I think it was typeset in about 9-point type. So you'd have to get fairly close to see that that's the pattern on the fabric. This is just around the time that I was graduating art school and was going into law school. And this is I guess about 6 feet tall. It's modeled after a road sign. Where was I? It's like a map of the world, street sign. This is a Grecian urn that was taken to an English pub, battered and deep fried. And that's a refrigerator that it's in. And Betta Pickett's sort of channeling my love of Saul LeWitt and Robert Gober. It's a king-size bed. Sorry, the contrast is really brutal. I apologize, the bulbs are burning out a bit, so these images are losing a lot. But what you see here is a stage setup. There's a whiteboard that's really white right now. Shoes with ashes around them. a marker, and a couple of posters for Rage Against the Machine that feature the image of the Buddhist monk who self-immolated in protest during the Vietnam War. Basic gist is that there was going to be a lecture about the politics of that image, but the speaker spontaneously combusted before he could do the talk. Morality play, 3 circus mirrors. The things along the middle are, in Canada, they're called welfare checks. I think here are they Social Security to prevent you from walking into the image. Okay, this is really burnt out, but what you can see is on the left is a vase, a motorized vase with silk flowers. It's motorized, so it operates at 60 RPM, so every second it shudders slightly. And then the boom box on the right has a cord that runs way up to the right of the image. There's a headset turned to static, so they go together. The vase is called Timepiece, and the boom box is Snake Charmer. This is in the Royal Ontario Museum. It's like an anthropology museum in Toronto. Yeah, it's a monkey brandishing a kitchen mop. And at the time, the support staff thought I was making fun of them and they threatened to strike. So I had to emphasize that it's a domestic mop, not an industrial mop. And this is a series I did of street performances. This is an example of wanting to get out, be in the public, and not have to be vetted by an institution, not to wait for it. So I came up with a company called Art Courtesy Services, and the particular venture was Art That Says Hello, and I went out and did things that involved me being with the public, and it's kind of strange because I'm fairly shy, really, but this is where I pushed this ladder around. People could climb the ladder, open the window, and smell the flowers, and they're real flowers. Free shoe shine with yellow paint, where I tried to talk people into letting me paint their shoes yellow, and I was very clear with them, it's paint, it's not polish, it's forever. That was pretty fun. People in Toronto wouldn't go for it, but people in Halifax would. I think I painted like 3 or 4 pairs of shoes yellow. Picture yourself on the moon. A backdrop of the moon's surface. I had a guest book. If you stood on the moon's surface, I took your address and you would get a copy of the photo of you on the moon's surface. And then the photos themselves have shown separately. And from Art That Says Hello then came other enterprises. It's interesting. I wasn't sure whether I should just let this go and get on with things, and Steve encouraged me to not drop the ball so soon, so I kept with it. So in keeping with the idea of the courtesy enterprises and just giving out, this mural happened. One of my colleagues or a peer in Toronto asked me what it meant. I told him hello, and he was a bit confused, but that's what it meant, hello. Or hello, actually. And then once again from this series, I built a large box full of moss, and it was filled with these plaster casts. On the back of the cast is a story about being a kid and with my dad driving through the wet coastal roads of British Columbia, expecting to see Bigfoot. Now this plays with ideas of veracity and proof and scale, because you can see it says 18 inches from heel to toe, but then it says 1/5 scale. And it's the size of a baby's foot. That's very washed out too. This is, I do a lot of postcards off and on, and that's part of the idea of wanting to get things out there for free and to widely disseminate them, whether it's by handing them out, piggybacking on mailouts from artist-run centers, and just dropping them places. So this is, S is for shortcut, and it shows you the location of 2 shortcuts that if you sort of force your mind to think so, they form an S. Scary mouse holes, partly a riff on Neo-Geo expressionism and the binary between representation and abstraction. So these aren't black. They couldn't be black because that would be illusionism. So the dark one is actually green and brown and reflective. So the idea is to reference the shape, but to deny the illusion, create an aesthetic form, be a bit snarky. These are sold as multiples, and that's one in an exhibition. It's funny, I wanted to put one of the mouse holes up near the ceiling, and the curator didn't like that. They wanted to keep me closer to the representational use of the form. And then this is taking that one step further. So this is the magic mouse hole taken into quantum physics. This is where it's rotated on its vertical axis 360 degrees to create the shape of a snow dome. And it came with a creation story that talked about, well, all sorts of wacky stuff. And at the end of the story, I encourage you to swallow it. I don't know if anybody did. Soft spots, this is what, 99? So these are made out of memory foam. It's now more available, but at the time I didn't know what I wanted, but I found memory foam and a special rubber paint that would allow me to make this surface so that you walk across it and your imprints are left, and they reside for a couple of minutes and slowly dissolve, and the cushions return to normal. So it's like watching a ghost walk across a surface and then disappear. In the background right is courtesy bench prototype number 1. When you sat on it, you would hear my voice say hello. And then smile door. There's teeth up in the top. The lines are maybe a bit washed out. So you leave the one space and enter through the smile door into a dark place where you see a silent video of this, which is where the cat's at. I took a domestic cat, actually a pro, but into the Art Gallery of Ontario. Well, they said he was a pro. They said he had done a cat food commercial. But he was really hell to work with. But I'll show you the video. And this was after hours. We didn't want the cat to get into any trouble. How do I make this go full screen?
Apple key F, maybe?
Apple key F, geez.
No. Apple key 0.
0?
You could just go to
View. Oh yeah, there you go. Enter full screen, yeah. I'm not a technician for a living. This is a silent film, by the way. Okay. And so this also exists as a suite of photos of various situations of the cat through the institution. And they've been shown separately and with the video. So in a group show, I decided to make a spa where there was hygienic mud available for gallery goers to smear on the walls. And there was a little cleaning station, monogram towels and stuff. Yeah, apparently that kid's jacket was never the same after that. It was a terrible cleanup. This is another example of multiples, postcards that I like to set out. I was invited to be in a show called Christmas in July, and I really like responding to themes, and so this is pretty fun. And this is in Amsterdam. I decided to push the idea of relational objects, but not necessarily in a touchy-feely way. I wanted to think about the nature of relationships involving reciprocity, responsibility, maybe some risk. So I thought about things that are durational. I mean, they have a lifespan, like a plant has a lifespan. I also chose digital watches, different lifespan. And I inscribed them with a saying, when this ceases, what's between us is gone. And then you see a fellow finding it there. So I left these things around Amsterdam and then watched people find them. This is another postcard for a series. I'm going to show you a video, an excerpt of the video, Incidental Park Zones and You. And basically the idea is that to create a convivial space that's akin to a park in places where parks aren't, you stand and stare into space and motionless until someone comes and talks to you, either because they're afraid something's wrong or they're curious. Let's see. How do I get the video to go out, please? Yeah?
Just like on the top of your right.
Top right? Yeah, it's not. Oh, okay, I just have to be vigorous with it. Thanks. Yeah. So Incidental Park Zones is sort of a public safety campaign in a way, or a conviviality campaign, and it's been exhibited. I'll show you an installation shot in a second. Maybe I'll show you that while it's firing up. Dang. So this is the installation where the Incidental Park Zones was shown. It's the Incidental Park Zones Pavilion. So around the corner there's a plaque and free material, and then behind the wall with the figures on it was the viewing theater for the video. It was in a show that was based around utopian themes.
There is a saying that a stranger is just a friend you haven't met. These words contain a simple insight. Each community, whatever its size, experiences the influx and departure of citizens, changing the face of the community and its daily life. What this reveals is that the people who we refer to as strangers are at the core of community, whether it be the strangers who we encounter or the strangers that we are to others, until the unfamiliarity that we have in common is bridged. The challenge for each of us is to open ourselves to bridging that unknown. people, the city seems cold and impersonal, filled with strangers who have little in common. But is that so? As Jane Jacobs has written, each of us is a co-author in the neighborhoods that we create. As a co-author of your community, you are free to explore your artistic license. Incidental park zones encourage curiosity and openness through the use of simple gestures that each of us can perform in public. With these gestures, each of us can create a sociable, civic space akin to a park in places where parks aren't. To be a park, you need only to embrace the park spirit and follow 3 easy steps. Pause in a public place that feels right. Where you will be visible and approachable to pedestrians passing by. Pose as though you are mesmerized, watching something. Tilt your head and extend your arm to point as you direct your gaze upwards or downwards at nothing in particular. Hold this pose. Participate by greeting and speaking with anyone who appears curious about your activities. Enjoy the social space of the incidental park zones that occur. And tell each person that you meet that they, too, can be a park. Pause, pose, participate. You're that close to community, that close to being a park.
I guess that's a cautionary tale about why not to use orange in video. Although the images are sharper, it is the bulbs are a little bit past their prime on this. So that's the pavilion. Those interventions have also been done in Toronto and in Vancouver as well, separate shows to differing results. Vancouver was a tougher crowd. This was in a group show, Power to the People, so I guess I was literalizing. Wow, so soon. This is another video. This is one that Steve and I collaborated on. I had an idea. I wanted to hook a plant up to a lie detector and show it art. And I asked Steve for some art. And the animations that he came up with for the stimulus were so unexpected and compelling that the video opened up for me, and it became something that was much fuller than I would have thought. So I'll show you that. And this fellow is a licensed police polygrapher. Even though he looks like a really good actor, he's the real deal.
I couldn't hear your license.
A police polygrapher. Say that 5 times fast. He is licensed to do lie detector tests for the police. Let's see here. It's gone and started at the end. What's that? Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Hold it on back. There we go. All right.
My name is Alan Kane. I'm an active member of the Canadian Association of Police Polygraphists. I've been a polygraph examiner since 1983. Today we are measuring this plant using 2 polygraph components. One is a pressure cuff that is wrapped around the base of the plant, and we also have GSR, which is a galvanic skin reflex, which is measuring electrical impulses. This was one of the most difficult and challenging tests that I've ever conducted. After analyzing the charts, the findings were inconclusive.
Thanks. And this was done in Vancouver, a very rainy place. So Tang, day without orange juice, day without sunshine. So I put some Tang crystals in a glass, left it out in an uncovered area, and saw how much orange juice I had at the end of a rainy week. And so there's a series of photos that document that. The people in Vancouver didn't get the joke. I was born there, so I'm allowed. This is another revisiting of the S is for Shortcut piece for a show in Vancouver. And in this case, I set up in a coffee shop this map with the postcards in the lower right, which show them a shortcut on the reverse side. And then I left them pins and cards so they could connect to the map and direct people to shortcuts they like. This is a mural I did, same wall as the Hello Hello mural. This is a venerable artist pub in Toronto. And I had heard that it was being threatened with becoming a condo. And so this was kind of a a snarky response via Gordon Matta Clark, maybe. You know, I want to create something that the art world can get a bit of, get something from, but I also want the people in the neighborhood to be able to get something from it. You know. This is a performance I did, Role of the Artist. I hired a stunt double, and he's, the idea was that this is sort of like the Sisyphean rolling the thing up the hill and then courageously rolling down the hill. I did a bit of a spiel about mythology and stuff with the stuntman standing beside me. We did the unveil of the container. The container's called the medium. And so then I got in, I posed inside the container, then I got out, he got in and rolled down the hill. Then at the bottom of the hill, he got out, I got in, I posed like I was in it and got out, and then that was the end. And the logo for it is a crash helmet with a beret on top. Oh, and geez, let's go back. The knee pads, I think one says rigor and the other says, oh, I can't remember, some theoretical word. I do a lot of multiples from time to time, and so these are some crests. It Ain't Irony, It's Agony is the crest that was done for the Role of the Artist, and that was a limited edition crest, but it was also on my uniform. Art That Says Hello is an embroidered crest that was on my uniform, but I also was giving them out. I had 100 for the first 100 participants who either climbed a ladder, got a shoe shine, or visited the moon. And then Sorry Not Funky is a chenille embroidered crest that came from my experiences working in advertising, because I don't know how many times I've had a corporate client tell me they want something that's funky, and then when you give them something that's even remotely funky, they're horrified. So that's my varsity crest. This is a video. I'm not going to show you this video, but this is a still from it. Today, I got members of a high school debating club to debate in solitary, so I had them prepare their debating response, and then they delivered them in solitary in different situations, in a high school corridor, in a back alley with graffiti, in a city street. It's in front of the Parliament buildings. And the question that they were debating, first pro and then con, was today is a good day to die. So they prepared a response for each of those. So there was like 4 youth, and they spoke to why it would be or wouldn't be a good day to die. And then I guess moving from that lifestyle, death style, this is my Adidas coffin. There's a pillow inside it. We have an art fair, international art fair in Toronto, and I was invited to do a performance intervention, I guess. I have, in Toronto we have generations of Italians who would go and wheel these knife sharpening units through the neighborhoods. Now they do it in vehicles, but they used to be hand pulled carts. So one of my friends is his dad and his uncle did that, and this is the unit that they had. It's a pedal operated sharpening stone, and that's the bell that they would ring. So I went to the art fair and I offered to sharpen people's imaginary knives before they went into the art fair, just so they could be prepared. I had a card, and what I would do is, if they wanted their imaginary knife sharpened, I would put my hands over their head and I would pump the wheel, and then I'd say, I think you're sharp enough, and I'd take a peanut, draw a happy face on it, give it to them, and they'd go in. And lots of people wanted to be sharpened before they went into the art fair. One lady in very nice clothes asked if I would sharpen real knives. And I was like, what are you doing with real knives? And she got upset with me when I said I don't sharpen real knives. Yeah, tool of the state. It's kind of washed out, but the image is taken from a foam hand that you take to a sporting event. Trans-Canada Power. And I live across country from my family, and so over the years, sending flowers by FTD has been one way to keep the relations alive and to express love and affection. And I was invited by a curator who was doing a project where she did something in every province of Canada, and she was traveling across Canada to work on these projects with the artists. So my thought was, well, why not put flowers at the border crossing between each province? So there was this card, and so she did that, and she kept a blog of it. So that's the flowers, and that's the border crossing between BC and Alberta. This is a sculpture I did for the Sculpture Garden in Toronto. easy to assemble. It's about 15 feet tall. I guess, seeing as I mentioned Duchamp, maybe I should give a little bit of a nod. The idea of taking functionality and removing functionality to highlight aesthetics, possibly to frustrate people who want functionality, but also to reveal whimsy. I kind of see it like that scene in The Matrix where the guy is hanging in midair and he spins around and then does the kick. But this is a shed.
Does it rotate?
If you walk around it. I do a lot of Photoshop work, although I don't exhibit it often. It just doesn't seem to make it into the mix. But this is, it's darker here than it is in reality. It's actually quite a lush red landscape, sort of like Tatlin's Tower and Tower of Babel and a ride that you'd want to get off but couldn't get off. It's actually a pretty glowing image when you see it. I've done things with skate parks that go on forever, stuff like that. Now there are multiple conceptual art bumper stickers. I was in residence in Banff, and me and my friend were riffing and came up with these things. And so we've produced them and sold them. The residency in Banff was dealing with relational aesthetics, and Carol Bishop and Borio, and it was on our brains. So that's why if you're close enough to read this, your aesthetic is too relational. That's, you know. Oh, that's dark. And so, playing on that relational aesthetics thing, I was invited to do a performance intervention and to invite what do you call an emerging artist to work with me. And so the project that I chose for us to do was I've always been struck, because I work in advertising and there's focus groups happening all the time, it struck me that things like Recruiter Venetia, you know, making a meal, bringing people in, showing them stuff, focus groups do that. If you have a focus group after 5, you have to give them a meal. You bring people together, they don't know each other, you show them stuff, they talk about it, they hang out. So I thought, yeah. So what we did was we got a company to select people who expressed little or no interest in art. We convened a after-hours focus group in which I prepared a presentation that was delivered by the moderator. It was a presentation on relational aesthetics and all the people whose names have become synonymous with it. And after they had the presentation, they were served a catered meal, and then they were broken into 2 groups and asked to come up with relational aesthetic artworks. And they did, and then they present them at the end. And so what you see here, the top screen is a rolling text, a transcript, because at a focus group they have someone who's taking a transcript. So that's the official transcript. The lower monitor on the left is the video camera that was positioned behind the mirror in the mirrored viewing room where the clients would sit. And the bigger view is the surveillance camera that's in the actual boardroom. And then there's microphones on the table. So you get all the different viewpoints that would come if you were in a focus group. I guess dealing with participation again, this is a show I had, a solo show. I took the plinths and podiums from the gallery and turned them into a sort of all-purpose workstation. So on the left is a desk, and you can see in here there's blankets and a pillow. That's a sleeping station. Well, you can sleep in the other desk as well, but this is a kitchen table. And then there's plinths turned into benches behind it. The plinth in the front is upended, and it's a food donation box, and there's dry goods and tin goods in it. And then on the pegboard office organizer thing, there's a couple of pages torn out of art books, one that has Liam Gillick installation, and I think it's written across the image to repurpose it into being, I think, a drop-in center and a safe needle exchange. And then on the other page is Recruiter Venetia's, and it's to be a homeless shelter and a soup kitchen. I don't think this needs explaining. I've also shot a video of it, but the footage was so good it scared me, and I haven't cut it yet. Oh, and you see the walls are covered in crumpled paper. There's a triptych I'm going to show you in a few slides that ties into it. So I covered the entire walls of the gallery from floor to ceiling in crumpled paper. It's kind of it's institutional critique, right? It's yeah. So this is a book of Buckminster Fuller's work, and that's the U.S. Pavilion at Expo 67. The page is being torn out, crumpled, and formal similarity being displayed. This flag, I went through the flags of the world, and where there were celestial or terrestrial imagery, you know, stars, planets, critters, plants, I gathered them together and sort of created a landscape slash flag, and then had it printed by a commercial flag company. So there's a few of those, and it can exist at any size because it's vector art. And the funny thing is, I was so motivated by the pursuit of the thing that when it was finally there, I was looking at it and it struck me as so hopeful. I was just caught totally off guard by how sort of hopeful it was. And critical care. So that's a porcelain urinal skewered by an Excalibur sword. It's all those years of Lacan and Freud coming out. That's when I was educated in the 80s and 90s. And there's a video that was made at the same time. It's not so much a companion video because they show separately, but it's a related video of, I got the, it's showing in the Gallery 400 show, also called Critical Care. Because when I got the urinal home, it had to be bathed. It was filthy. And seeing this porcelain image of a male associated porcelain thing in a bathtub, a porcelain bathtub, with its intrauterine feel. It was swirling suds around it, and it looked like galaxies, and it was just this strange emotional image. And I thought, another video I can't show my mom, but I had to shoot it. So, and this is another multiple, revisiting the Brian Geisen dream machines. These things turn around slowly. Different colored lights shine up through the bottom of the Budweiser Tallboy. And the pattern is from the dream machine. I went online, found the pattern, and then used scalpels to cut it very carefully. I think it's an homage. I don't think I'm making fun of them. I think it's nice to now and then take the edge off with a, maybe not a Budweiser, but
Are they always
no. Oh, sorry. That's more to show you the detail. There, it's sort of like to show you the nice detail of the Budweiser can, and then just to show you the effect if it's in a dark room. So, yeah, sort of a before and after thing. Ah, boy, this is really washed out. What it says is, build your own burnable contemporary art gallery, a John Marriott educational project or product. Some assembly and disassembly required. And so what it does, you can't see because it's burned out, but this is a photocopyable and on the other side printable form that assembles into sort of a pastiche of different approaches to contemporary art galleries or museums. And this includes a sheet of tinfoil that you crumple aesthetically and insert, sort of like your own Frank Gehry. And then you burn it. When I was a kid, my folks had a corner store and they sold fireworks and burning schoolhouse. And I was, as a kid, I was like, burning schoolhouse? I thought I wasn't supposed to do that. You know, so, you know, sort of taking the idea of institutional critique a little bit further, making a burnable art gallery seemed to make sense. And then this was this year, security camera obscura. In Toronto, there's a festival of photography, and it's themed, and this year's theme was pervasive influence, and yet looking at the work, other than, say, the work of David Rockaby, politics was pretty absent from it. And I wasn't an official, I hadn't applied to be in the thing, so I just decided I was going to go around and monitor the aesthetics independently. So once again, I got a uniform together, custom crests for pinhole security systems, and I had this is actually a pinhole camera. This is like the paraphernalia that shows you the stuff. I went out with buttons, like the image on the left with the security camera with the slash through it says I can neither confirm or deny my presence here. I was handing those buttons out. And then going around and letting people check it out. So you can see here there's a person kneeling on a cushion and their head is up into the camera, and it is a pinhole camera. So the light goes in through here, and the back is a white screen, so you see the inverted flipped image of whatever's in front of you. And what I was telling people is that pinhole security, unlike conventional cameras that use film or digital cameras that use CCDs, there's no danger of a pinhole camera stealing a soul, because they work on a principle of dilution similar to homeopathy, where they take the essence and they dilute it, and so no harm done. And people were very accepting of that explanation. And yeah, and then finally, there's the video that Steve and I have done for this exhibition. This is the premiere. It's called Vomit Star, and very different aesthetic. I think part of it is because there's, for me as an artist, there's public voice and then private voice. Sometimes in the discussions over beers with a friend, things will come out that maybe don't fit into the rationale of an exhibition in my own sense of where things are. But over the years, we've talked about a lot of different things, and this exhibition came up for Steve, and he invited me to participate. And at the time, my mom came ill and subsequently died, and so my mood changed, and my willingness to go from private voice to public voice changed. So it's a notably darker video, but nonetheless one that I stand behind and am happy to have been able to collaborate on. Oops.
There was a day when I just had to tell my point of view. I was like you. Have you never been that low?
Was wird sein in 15 Jahren, wenn wir schon längst nicht mehr zur Jugend zählen, wenn mir die ersten grauen Haare wachsen?
Was wird sein in 20 Jahren, wenn unsere Kinder mit Problemen kommen?
Was wird sein in 30 Jahren, wenn ich ab und zu mal nicht zu Hause bin? Willst du in Gedanken bei mir sein? Oder ist dir ganz egal, was ich mache?
Was wird sein in 40 Jahren, wenn unsere Kinder nur noch Briefe schreiben?
In the year 45, 45, you ain't gonna need no teeth, won't need your eyes. Your arms are hanging limp at your side. Your legs got nothing to do. 65, 65, ain't gonna need no husband, won't need no wife. You pick your son, pick your daughter too. From the bottom of a long glass tube, whoa, whoa.
As we walk into the temple,
Helpless, helpless, helpless. Baby, can you hear me now? The chains are locked and tied across the door. Blue, blue windows behind the stars. Yellow on the rise. Helpless, helpless, helpless. Helpless, 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 helpless. Helpless, helpless, helpless.
So, that's the presentation. So, and so The video you just saw, Vomit Star, is a collaboration with Steve Reinke and myself, and there's also a sculpture that accommodates it. The actual Vomit Star that was made with the assistance of Kelly Kaczynski and Unnamed Future Space. So behold it in its magnificence. And thanks for coming. And if you have any questions or advice.
You said no one would have any questions after you showed Vomit Star.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, it's a bit of a change in tone. But any questions? Okay, thanks. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, a lot of your work is explored this corporate and legal language, at least a lot of like derivative or concept.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I think you mentioned
corporate and
legal language, yes.
Yeah.
I guess I'm kind of wondering, you mentioned that you went to law school, and then I think you mentioned you got a job in advertising.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm kind of wondering how that sort of tangent career to your career.
Well, it's funny because when I read Baudrillard, it kind of clicked in for me in the sense that I always liked joke shops when I was a kid, and when I read Baudrillard, it made sense to me because the joke shops are full of the simulacra, the made up, the fake. They expose the surface, or at least the idea that there's the surface and then there's the other things that make the surface have any meaning. And so I didn't go into advertising at first. I think I tried to avoid it. When I was a kid, when I was in high school, I ran a printing press on the weekends. That was a job I had. So I was always dabbling in making, but I thought I would, well, I never really knew what I was going to end up doing, but it seemed to get me anyway. And when I do job surveys, you know, they do the skills and they tell me I should be in law or advertising. It's like, I don't know how to get away from it. But I got away from law because I didn't like it. But in terms of, you know, the corporate language or the uniforms, for me it's like, that's the skin of society. I mean, you can go, like, I think Vomit Star is more of a guttural, visceral response. It's like, it's almost pre-articulate. Whereas a lot of the other work is, I wouldn't call it critique, because critique acts as though I'm separate from it, not mired in it, or it's not part of me. But you work with what you know, right? And I've always been, because I was raised in the interior of BC, which is the wilderness, when I got into civilization, so to speak, the makings of it fascinated and repulsed me in different measures. And so I think that's partly why I play with it. You know, it goes along, I think, with just general notions of performativity, whether it's performativity of gender or performativity of class role or performativity of professional space. You can be self-conscious of it or you can be subconscious within it, right? But I don't think I'm embracing them saying, graphic design bad. You know, it's more like graphic design cool, just used for bad things sometimes.
Yeah, it seems like more like verbal and visual puns on a corporate and
yeah, it's funny. I think it's partly it's playing, messing around with things as much to see how they work. I mean, earlier, you know, like around the time when I was showing the Grecian urn deep fried and battered, I was likening my process to climbing into a structure and then pulling out the support beams while I was still in it, which isn't always a helpful way to do things, but it was a way to, you know, play with it. It's like taking apart a clock and then trying to put it back together again. It doesn't always work. Yeah.
Did you ever use that suit that you made in any sort of performance?
No, you know, it was meant to be shown, and then when I finally got around to wanting to, it didn't fit anymore. It's my shame. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, well, thanks. Thanks for attending.